This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. There's a phrase, and you've heard it before. When you know, you know. Well, what does that really mean? I believe a lot of times it comes back to this thing, this amazing power that we all have, but sometimes we minimize the power, sometimes we don't listen to it. Your intuition, the gut feeling. How do you know it's really that? How do you find a way to trust it, have faith in it? We're going to talk about that today. She's a transformational life coach. Our professional of the year, offers lots of insight. This is one of my favorite topics because I test the intuition. I've I've made mistakes with it in not believing in it. Donna Day joins us on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I hope everyone's surviving the storm.
Yeah, it's winter up here in the Northeast. Yeah, I can't even complain. It's like I find it more interesting than annoying. Like when I open up the door at the garage, 30 inches of snow here, and not far from New York City. It's not like I'm
Yeah.
upstate somewhere by Canada. I open the door and I see just snow. Like I don't even see my car. Kind of crazy, but I
Yeah.
find it interesting. Yeah. So your intuition, can you think back to times where you ignored it
Oh, yeah.
and you
I
realized
mean,
you were wrong?
Oh yeah, one of the most clear ones was when I was engaged to this guy. Like everything was pointing, everything in me was just saying something's not right, and I would ask him about it, and I wanted to trust and believe what he was saying more than trusting my own self. And later I found out that I was right. But if, I trusted myself sooner, I probably wouldn't have gone through as much as I did because we ended up staying together for 8.5 years. And it was
Uh,
at the 2 year mark when I started getting like, so, but that's a lesson in yourself that, sometimes you need to trust yourself more than others. And it's hard sometimes because you start to like visualize things. This could be in a job, this could be in all different areas of life. And that vision becomes reality even when everything in your body is saying something's off. But like that kind of like feeling of where you've been moving and how hard you've been working and all the energy that you've been putting in something, it kind of tends to be hard to sometimes be like, nah, you're just imagining that, like
yeah. Well, and let's identify some of the reasons, even in that situation. By the way, been there. Um, and yeah, it's kind of the same exact thing. Even the same amount of time now that I'm thinking back to it. Seriously so. And why didn't we dig deeper into it? Because I believe you want to see the good in people.
Yeah.
You listen, we don't like change. We're wired to not make lots of changes because it's comfortable to say where we are. So it's like, all right, well, it's okay. So I'll just stay with it a little bit longer. But like and even in a before that relationship way back, I remember, I'm going to be transparent. I was having a house built. I remember standing there in front of the field and something telling me, don't do this. Bad idea. Bad idea. And I was just like, I'm holding my little, 3-year-old at the time, like, bad idea. This is not, this is a
Yeah.
big investment. And 2 years later, the house, it was built. 4 months later, they got it done really fast, really
Wow.
fast. Yeah. Even during the winter, it was a very mild winter, unlike this one. Um, 2 years later, the relationship was dissolving. Should have listened to the gut. And I could tell you the angle of the sun. I could almost tell you the date that
Right?
I was having that thought. Oh my gosh, I can see myself there.
hmm It's crazy. And so people, I mean, it's just human nature to get caught up in the plans that you've made, and try to like look past it. I mean, I could even go as far back as like my ex-husband, I mean, he, ended up, being more attracted to males than females. So I had that gut feeling, but I wasn't listening to it, you know? So like it's kind of like one into totally different situations with both of them. But
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
just saying, like, you know, it's still not trusting yourself because for me, it was like I had this plan, I committed, I invested this much into it. So, you know, like
Yeah.
what I'm feeling, it's, you know, you know, that's nothing. Just keep pushing that aside and keep, you know, going around just playing the role. And it does catch up with you, you know, like, because even the best strategies in the world, they won't fully land if they conflict with your inner truth. So, you know, strategy and soul, when they're in harmony, that's where the magic is created. And until you actually allow that to happen, in reality, you're kind of just fighting yourself.
How do you find the strength to take action? And I get what you're saying here, especially in the relationship thing, but it could be a job. You could be
Yeah.
thinking, this is not for me. I'm feeling that, there may be a change coming and maybe I need to make change. Um, but to your point, you've invested so much in it. Like it's a relationship. You put down roots, maybe. You've invested time in it. Whether a job. I've been here, 15 years, whatever it is. But it doesn't feel right. But you don't listen to it. How do we find the strength to listen to the intuition?
Some things that I work with my clients with on how to trust their intuition more is one, you know, we've talked about this before, create some daily quiet time. You know, that's when your intuition really whispers, you know, and shouts to you. If you're, you know, just constantly in motion and just surrounded in, you know, work and life and all that stuff, you're going to miss those key things. It's going to be kind of like faded out, you know? So it's important to spend just even like 5 minutes a day in silence and just really connect with yourself.
Mhm.
Another thing is notice repeating patterns and signs. Are certain things that like you're trying to totally say, that's not happening, but like it's happening in similar ways, maybe not the exact same way, but you can actually connect and say, wow, that's kind of a pattern. You know, or like if you get repeating signs, like some people will see numbers, or some people will hear a song, or any of that type of stuff. Those are all, you know, messages being sent to you, like, hey, wake up, here's your message, you know, listen to me. And the other thing is check your body sensations, you know, like your body is a very powerful instrument, you know, and does what's going on, is it, you know, is it feel light or does it feel heavy? Do you get like stomach aches? Do you feel anxious? You know, or are you excited and like can't wait? You know, those are all different signs that your body's literally telling you, yeah, go with it, or I don't know if this
Mm.
is right for you, you know? And then also act on the small nudges. Like we were talking about, we didn't act on the small nudges. We ignored them.
It's true. It's
So,
true.
you know, and that's like, that's where trust is built with action and how you build that trust with yourself.
What does it feel like for you?
What, intuition?
Yeah, when you're
Yeah.
getting something, when you're getting a feeling, um, is it some say it's a lighter feeling. And many times we feel it and we're like, that can't be it. It's too easy. Doesn't make sense. And then the logic side of the brain kicks in and you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you overthink it. And then you just avoid that easy feeling. What
Yeah.
do you feel? Where do you feel it?
For me, it's like an epiphany moment. Like it could be like literally I could be anywhere doing anything and it could be completely unrelated to, you know, what I'm actually doing at that moment. And all of a sudden, I'm just like, duh. You know, like it just kind of is kind of like, wow, like all of a sudden I feel like I gained all this clarity. And where I start to feel it is actually in my like heart chakra area. So, because it just feels kind of
Hmm.
like, wow, this is warm, this is right, this is kind of like that fire burning. So for me, it's more like an epiphany, and it could be anywhere. Like I said, even if I'm somewhere and I hear a song, and you know, for anyone else, it's just a song, you know, but for me, it connects what I've been, you know, I guess unsure of or lacking or being misdirected. And if I actually pick up on it, it's like this kind of like almost comfort feeling. It's like almost giving yourself a hug for me. How about you?
Hmm. I agree with you. And I never thought of it that way. Mostly it's a lighter feeling. It's an instant feeling. Um, it's not in the heart, it's more in the stomach, but I guess that's why some call it the gut feeling.
Yep.
But the hugging, I agree with you. I never thought of it that way, but it's almost like a reassuring hug. Like it's just
Yeah.
saying, I'm just telling you right now, you might want to listen to what I got going on here. Many times we don't. We just, throw it off. So, okay, this is going to be a deeper question.
Okay.
So when you have a gut feeling and you think of it, how do you know you didn't manifest the outcome? So let's say you had a feeling that I'm going to go very, very hypothetical.
Okay.
You had a feeling and you didn't really have any evidence to support this. Maybe a little thing here, a little thing there, that you have a feeling that the company you work for is going to be bought out. There's going to be changes. Something's changing. You're feeling it. You don't have a lot of evidence to support that. Maybe you heard a little something. Maybe your boss is being a little more quiet. A little stuff, nothing major. Could be any, could be just you. And then in short time, it does happen. How do you know you didn't manifest that or whatever it is to happen?
Well, I think some of it is actually already predestined, in my opinion,
Hmm.
like because like when if you're aligned and you're in harmony with, life and, trusting yourself and, loving yourself and all that stuff, things just gravitate towards you that are in line with you. So if you're in that aligned position and something no longer is aligned, it's going to get pushed out somehow. Whether, let's say, the business closes, or let's say you get another job offer, or it could be anything. The universe is going to kind of push you where you're meant to be aligned. So
Hmm.
intuition and manifestation kind of go together, because if you're in a stuck rut, you're kind of manifesting being stuck, because that's where you're aligned at that moment. But if you're kind of, moving, as we say, actually listening to yourself, trusting yourself, things are going to start to feel like, wow, did I manifest that? Because everything that's meant for you is now being, open and allowed in because you're making room for it. So,
Hmm.
that's why it's, also so important to like really listen to yourself,
Well,
because it's telling you something that, maybe you don't necessarily believe at the time, but like you gave a perfect example. Later in the line, what you already felt was happening did end up happening. So you already know.
but there is a part of me, and I don't believe this anymore, but in the beginning where things revealed, leave it at that,
Yeah.
that yeah, maybe I went in, maybe I manifested that. I thought of that. Like, oh, maybe my actions led to, whatever revealed, but I don't think so. And I guess that comes back to the gut. Your gut
Yeah.
will tell you whether you did or not.
Yep.
Yep.
It's your GPS, it never loses signal, even when, the road ahead is foggy. So like it's the one thing you can always trust. And so many people tend to lean away from it
Yeah.
because it's kind of something you can't see or feel like tangibly. You know what I mean? So, but when you actually do lean into it and you do feel the power of it, it's easier to lean, and trust that that feeling, that you get. But it's hard because it isn't tangible, It's something that, when you actually listen to it and actually use it as a guide, you start to see results. But sometimes, even when you see the results, you're kind of like, oh, I'm just having a lucky streak or something like
Mm.
that.
Well, you said something before, and I think it's so impactful when we talk about aligning with ourselves. Just sit in silence,
Yep.
and I'm overdue. Like last night I was like, all right, let me get on the couch hanging out with my cats, and we're just, maybe watching a little TV, texting, called a friend, had to talk about something. Then I turn around, I'm like, all right, well, it's late. I'm tired. Time to go to bed. I didn't really like listen. I didn't have,
Yeah.
because I gave my time to others, which is perfectly fine. Doing that tonight. No,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
tonight.
I got to do the same thing. I mean, I've been kind of housebound because of my foot. So for the last 2 weeks, I think I've just been kind of keeping myself busy just to kind of adjust to not being on my normal routine. So I haven't really like sat with myself, even though technically, wouldn't this be the perfect time to do that?
It would. And maybe the universe is creating that for you.
Exactly. And saying, hey, I'm not going to let your foot get better until you get this message. Now take some time for
So,
yourself.
based on that, I'll share this. It was a year and change ago. I got this weird virus. Um, and I never get sick. A fever for like 4 days. And the weird part about it, let me give you the starting point. I went away a few days to Florida to hang with a coworker. He had a place on the beach. I'm like, great, I'll go there. This will be rest, relaxation. I would stare at the ocean. We just, he was, sleeping, whatever. I'm like, all right, this is great. It's early fall, so the weather's still warm. Get this virus. Aside from the fever, it also took out my voice. I couldn't talk for like 2 weeks. And it was a little challenging. Like ear, nose, and throat doctor said you might need to learn how to speak again. Like it was like a little dicey there. Um, I believe fully that that was the universe's way of saying that, oh, okay, you think you're slowing down? No, you're not.
Yeah,
We're going to
exactly.
make sure you can't work
Yeah.
because I could do other stuff, but if I can't talk, it's like I really can't work.
Yeah.
Um, that was a universal wake up, and from that point forward, I did have some realizations and things like that. It was a reset button. So maybe this is for you.
Yeah. It sounds like it because what you're saying, I can completely, align with at the moment. So,
Yeah, yeah. What else can you tell us about intuition? Anything we didn't hit up?
I mean, there's so many different things, but like different, I guess you could say, different tips and tricks that you can do to get more in touch, which we've talked about, is one, being just in silence with yourself. You can write, you can, do some like visioning, practice seeing yourself on the other side of whatever decision or situation that you're in and how it makes you feel. Like just sit with it, by yourself in, whatever space makes you feel, warm, comforted. We were talking about that, the other podcast, creating that one space that's just like home for you, where you can just totally relax and just be like, oh, it does help sit with yourself and, clear your energy, and that can be as simple
Mm.
as like, taking a walk, go out in nature, you can dance, you can sing. It's just, kind of decluttering where the energy is currently sitting and moving it. So, and that's so important because sometimes, like, when you're just kind of like stagnant, it just, the energy just kind of, lingers, laggers, kind of thing. So, if you just get up and move and shift and do something, go for a car ride, paint, anything that you're into, just kind of shift that energy. It makes a huge difference.
And I'm going to say your energy may feel a little wonky at this time because
Mhm.
we talked last time we got together about the astrology and
Yeah.
the year of the fire horse, which began
Mhm.
last week. But that's not the only thing that's going on astrologically. There's other stuff.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
planets lining up, planets resetting at zero in Aries. I don't do astrology, but I'm just saying that doesn't happen. We're talking like man, I think it's like 60 years you won't see that again.
Yeah.
Planets literally lining up in the sky. I think like 7 planets, if I remember correctly. That won't happen again till I believe 2040. And then
Yeah.
we have Mercury retrograde begins in 2 days for 3 weeks. There's a lot going on
Going
here. So
on.
if
Yeah.
you're feeling like a little like, I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. I feel off. I can't put a finger on it.
Uh,
Maybe it's that. And maybe
Yeah.
you need to get grounded, like you just
Yeah.
said. Get out in nature, um, take time for yourself, those kinds of things, and maybe answers will come to you.
Yeah.
Final question. Should you ask for answers? Let's say you get some things from your intuition, but maybe you got a situation coming up and you got nothing. I'm not feeling anything. I don't know, fork in the road, which way to go. Should you just ask for the answer?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you just put it out there, but it's also the value of the question. So make sure when you're asking the question that you're really asking what you want to find out, not just kind of going on the side of it. You know what I mean? Be as direct as possible. So the quality of the question will be the quality of the answer that you receive.
One other thought here just popped in my head. There are many practitioners, and there's lots of different modalities connected to this, but they call it muscle testing. And they can ask you, even a hypnotherapist can ask a question of you, and different ways to do that in terms of muscle movement. There's a thing called, just gonna, and I messed around with this, the chain, where if you link your finger inside just do the okay sign, so to speak, and try to break the chain, you can't do that unless it's the right answer. That's a very basic way of muscle testing. There's also what they call the sway test, where you just stand, maybe in a door frame, and
Yeah,
get a baseline. My name is, and give your real name, and
yeah,
see if you sway a certain way. If you sway back, that could be the yes. It
yeah,
could be different for everybody. So whether it's whatever movement you have, and then ask a false question and see which way you sway, pay attention to it. Then ask questions you need answers to, because it's believed that every answer is in you.
it is. Yeah.
It's
And
there.
you can even use like a pendulum. Some people use that, like
Yes.
crystals, or even if you don't have something, if there's like a piece of jewelry that you wear a lot that has your energy in it, you can do the same thing. So,
Mm.
you can use your body, like you were saying. I got to try that out because I've never done that. But you can also use something like that and you just ask, like show me my yes, and it will literally, mine when I do it goes back and forth for my
Yep.
yes, and then it will turn counterclockwise for my no, but it's different for everyone. And I didn't think it was until I actually saw other people do it. And I was like, wow, that's interesting how you have a different yes and no. So
It's you. It's your energy.
pretty
Just
amazing. Yeah.
you just got to get the baseline. So
Hmm.
call it the wrong answer, the false answer, the true answer to see, and then use that moving forward. But again, it's people have been healed by practitioners asking what's going on in their body using these different techniques, because your
Yeah.
body doesn't lie. The body doesn't
Body does
lie.
not. Yeah. Everything you need to know, you already do. It's so true. And
Yeah.
it's just a matter of listening.
Yeah. And why can't we listen? Because we don't take time
Hmm.
in quiet to do that. We've got distractions. We've got 3 different jobs. We got all this stuff going on right now that gets in the way of listening to the answer. I'm glad we talked about this today. It's so important.
Me too.
It's like we're given the answers. We're given this
Hmm.
amazing power, but we don't use it to its full potential. How do we connect with you? People got questions. They want to know, even some of the, I know it's a little woo. To learn more about it, how do we find you?
You can reach me on my site at donnadaytlc.com. You can also email me at donnadaytlc@gmail.com, or you can give me a call or shoot me a text at 201-719-6991.
There was a song that came out in the 90s, and there was a remix done, a dance remix, and the song is called, and it was from the movie Pretty Woman.
Uh-huh.
Roxette is the band. Listen to your heart. That's really
Oh,
what this comes down to. Listen to your heart,
your
because
heart.
it's telling you what the answer is. But sometimes we don't want to listen. I get that, but it's all there. Thank you for today. Love the conversation.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
All right, we'll talk soon. Okay.
All right, bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.